السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين، أما بعد. وقد قال الله تعالى في كلامه المجيد: وما خلقت الجن والإنس إلا ليعبدون ما أريد منهم من رزق وما أريد أن يطعمون إن الله هو الرزاق ذو القوة المتين. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that I did not create the jinns and human to worship me, except to worship me. مَا أُرِيدُ مِنْهُمْ مِنْ رِزْقٍ, I do not want from them any provision. وَمَا أُرِيدُ أَن يُطْعِمُونِ, neither I want them to feed me. Why? Because it is Allah who is the provider, and Allah is the possessor of strength. Dhul-Hijjah al-Mateen. Respected brothers and sisters, many times people think this question in mind, that why did Allah Azza wa Jal create me? If He had not created me, that would have been a better option, because then I could live without the fear of going into the hellfire, being held accountable, and committing sin. Without any of those fears, I would live, I would be, if I was not created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Looks like Allah wanted to achieve something through our creation, and that achievement is ibadah. Looks like Allah, al-Iyas bin Nadeem, many people who raise this objection, maybe would go to this extent that Allah Azza wa Jal needed us. He needed our ibadah. He was feeling lonely, and that's why He created the creation. So Allah Azza wa Jal is responding to this question in this ayah. He's saying that if you think that I created you so that you feed me, if you think that I created you so that you can provide me sustenance, that is wrong. I don't want any of those things from you. In fact, I am the provider, so why would you think that you provide? Inna Allah wa fasa. So what is the purpose of your creation? The purpose of your creation is an ibadah. Now the question is that Allah, does He want our ibadah? Can He not live without our ibadah? That's the next question. So there are two ways how we can respond to this question. The first way is that we have a concept of tafweed in the Sharia. What is the meaning of tafweed? Tafweed is that we submit our knowledge to the knowledge of Allah. There are many concepts in the Sharia that there is no way we can fully understand them. We cannot fully understand the Dhat of Allah. We cannot fully understand the Sifat and the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what do we do? When we come across those mutashabih ayat, the right approach, the sound approach is tafweed, that we, based on our limited knowledge, may not be able to understand the exact meaning of the ayah. Because of our limited knowledge, we may not be able to understand how the qualities of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exactly, and how the taqdeer of Allah works, and how the plan of Allah works. We may not be able to understand any of those things because we have very limited knowledge, so we do tafweed. So similarly, we do tafweed here, that we do not know exactly why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us, except for one thing, that Allah created us for ibadah. Other than that, we don't know. That is one approach, and it's a very right and sound approach. But if you want to add one more thing, it would become more rational. And before I explain this to you, I give you a hypothetical situation. Imagine there is a person who lived his life without going to school. He never attended any college or university. He doesn't have any work, no purpose in life, no meaning in his life. He is very miserable, and he's living a life full of depression. And then he blames his parents. He says that, why didn't you bring me into this world? Look at my condition, look at my state. I'm living life full of misery and depression. So, does he have a right to complain? Well, there are two situations. The first situation is that his parents provided him everything, all the opportunities. They invested their money, their time, their energy on him. He's the one who didn't go to school. He's the one who didn't go to college or university. All the opportunities were made available to him. He's the one who didn't avail those opportunities. He didn't work diligently. He did not try to get a job. And now that he is in his 30s or 40s or 50s, he's complaining to his parents that, why did they bring me? Why did sisters and they brought me to this world? Well, if this is the type of complaint that his complaint is irrational. Why? Because they did whatever they could do, in your favor. You're the one who did not avail these opportunities. So it's your mistake, it's your fault. But imagine if a person who was given all the opportunities by his parents, and he availed those opportunities. He became an educated person, and based on his knowledge and education, he was able to live a good life, good job, good life, successful life, good family. Everything is good. What do you think? Does he have a right to complain that why my parents brought me to this world? He does not have that right. You were not there to give a consent. How would you give consent to your parents? It's not possible. So if a person in this life, after he's born, complains that why did Allah create me? Again, there are no possible scenarios. The first scenario is that Allah just simply created us and didn't give us any opportunity to grow spiritually and financially and materialistically. He didn't give any of those opportunities. He just created us and dumped us here on this planet, and now we're living our life. However, yes, we could complain to Allah that why did you create us? We have no purpose. We have no means to survive. There's no way we can grow spiritually. There's no way we can grow in terms of wealth, in terms of our lifestyle. But Allah Azza wa Jalla has provided us every single opportunity. وَإِن تَعُدُّوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ لَا تُحْصُوهَا. That even if we were to sit and count all those blessings, we would not be able to do so. That's how many blessings Allah Azza wa Jalla showered upon us. And then it's our fault that we didn't avail those opportunities. Our mistake. And instead of holding ourselves accountable, we start holding Allah Azza wa Jalla accountable and say that why did Allah need us? That is not the right approach. Just like we cannot make our parents accountable, we cannot make Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accountable for our existence and for our creation. Simple. So, what are those opportunities? What are those ni'am, those blessings that Allah Azza wa Jalla showered upon us? There are many. In fact, throughout the year, these opportunities come and go. And there are so many that if we live our life taking those opportunities into consideration, that we become spiritually very, very strong. How strong? There is a hadith. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says that a person who is habitual of praying on time, he never misses his salah. When he dies, he is buried in the grave. And the Munkar and Nakir come for questioning. So he says that, I don't have time to answer your questions. Da'uni usalli, allow me to pray. So because he lived his life at being habitual of offering salah on time, with all the adab and sunnah, with all those tahabbat. So even at that moment, after his life, when salah is no longer an obligation upon him, and we don't know how a person in this grave will be feeling because none of us has that experience. But it looks like that the person who is dead, he knows that he's dead. So even at that moment, on that occasion, when he's encountering Munkar and Nakir for the first time, he's telling them that I want to pray. A person who avails these opportunities from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala becomes like this. From tomorrow, we are going to witness one of the most important period of ibadah, season of ibadah of the year. 10 days of Dhul-Hijjah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about these 10 days of Dhul-Hijjah in Surah Al-Fajr. He says, وَالْفَجْرِ وَلَيَالِ الْعَشْرِ, by the dawn and by 10 nights. In the Quran and Hadith, also in the Jahili literature, meaning literature that belongs to the Jahili period before Islam, the word layl is used to describe the period of 24 hours. So just like in English and in other languages, we use the word day to describe the whole period, 24 hours. They use the word layl. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلَيَالٍ عَشْرٍ, at 10 nights, but 10 nights means 10 days. وَالشَّفْعِ وَالْوَتْرِ, and by the evening and the odd. So what are these 10 nights? They're not the 10 nights of the month of Ramadan. They're not the last 10 days of the month of Ramadan. They are the 10 days, the first 10 days of the month of Dhul-Hijjah. The period that is going to start inshallah from tomorrow. And we have so many ayat and so many nusus and ahadith and texts that are regarding the fadila and virtue of these 10 days as well as the 10 nights in the month of Ramadan. So ulama, they suggested that the 10 nights of the month of Ramadan are superior than all nights throughout the year. But the 10 days of the month of Dhul-Hijjah are superior and have more virtue than any other day throughout the year. So that's how these 10 days are important. Because Ramadan is a different kind of month. Every day we give importance, we come to the masjid, we offer salatul dua, there's a lot of things going on. A lot of activities, and we're also very passionate about ibadah. But in the month of Dhul-Hijjah, our approach changes. We think, yeah, these days are important, but they're not as important as the month of Ramadan. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put 4 ibadat in these 10 days. All 4 ibadat, basic ibadat. Salah, zakat, hajj, and siyam. All 4 of them are given. So it is recommended that we fast these days except for the 10th day. Fasting of the 10th day is haram. But other than that, it is recommended that we fast from tomorrow till the 9th of Dhul-Hijjah, which is the day of Arafat. That is because al-Mu'mineen Sayyidah Hafsa radiyallahu anha narrates, she says that أَرْبَعٌ لَمْ يَكُنْ يَرَعْهُنَّ النَّبِيُّ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ. There are 4 occasions or 4 things that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would never miss. The first thing is the Siyam Ashura, fasting on the day of Ashura, 10th of Muharram, along with 11th of 9th. Then she said, what Ashr, and these 10 days. 10 days means the first 9 days, because the 10th day is the day of celebration and we're not allowed to fast. But urfan, meaning traditionally these days are known, then they're known as Al-Ashr. So that's the second occasion. And the third occasion is that 3 days every month. And the fourth thing that he would never miss, 2 rak'ah before Salatul Fajr. Imagine if you come to the masjid to offer salat with the jama'ah, Salatul Fajr. What do? The first thing you do is that you pray 2 rak'ah sunnah. Even if Imam is in the first rak'ah, and you know that I can easily catch this rak'ah, because the recitation in Salatul Fajr is long. So what do? You take a corner and you pray 2 rak'ah there, and then you join the salah. Why? Because sunnah is very important than any other sunnah throughout the day. These 2 rak'ah are important. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam would never miss them. So Sayyidah Hafsa radiyallahu anha is saying that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, just like he could miss these 2 rak'ah, he could miss fasting 3 days every month, fasting 10 days of Dhul-Hijjah, and fasting on the day of Ashura. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says that مَا مِنْ أَيَّامٍ الْعَمَلُ الصَّالِحُ فِيهِنَّ أَحَبُّ إِلَى اللَّهِ مِنْ هَذِهِ الْأَيَّامِ. That these are the days that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves people performing good deeds better than any other day. He would reward the most in these days if you do good deeds. And he says that Sahaba radiallahu anhu said, Ya Rasulullah, what about jihad? So if somebody goes in jihad, fi sabilillah, other than these 10 days, do you think that he will get more reward or the one who will bring ibadah in these 10 days? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, وَلَا الْجِهَادُ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. Even jihad fi sabilillah will not earn you reward as much as you would get if you perform ibadah and do good deeds in these 10 days. Then he made an exception. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam made an exception. He said, إِلَّا رَجُلٌ لَمْ جَاهَدَ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ وَلَمْ يَرْجِعْ بِذَلِكَ جَاهَدَ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ بِمَالِهِ وَنَفْسِهِ وَلَمْ يَرْجِعْ بِذَلِكَ مِنْ شَيْءٍ. Except for a man who participated in the battle for the sake of Allah with his wealth and life. He sacrificed his wealth and he sacrificed his life, and he didn't come back with any of those. Yeah, he will get more reward. Other than that, a person who performs good deeds in these 10 days will get more reward than anyone else. So as I was saying, that the first ibadah is Sawm, the second ibadah is Hajj. Obviously, Hajj is performed starting from the 7th of Dhul-Hijjah. People start going to Mina. Then 9th of Dhul-Hijjah some people go on 8th. And the 9th of Dhul-Hijjah they are in Arafat, that's the day of Hajj. 10th of Dhul-Hijjah they come back to Mina. So all the activities of Hajj are going on in these days. There are many people in Mecca, they're in the state of Ihram. Many of them have already started their Ihram for Hajj. They won't come out of the state of Ihram until they perform Hajj after 10 days. So Hajj is the second ibadah that is performed in these days. Salah, obviously, we offer Salah, and we were supposed to offer Salah every day 5 times. Along with the Sunan and the Mustahabbat and the Wajibat. As for Zakat, Zakat usually people give in the month of Ramadan. That's their zakatable year. But it doesn't mean that we do not give sadaqat other than zakat. In the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala encourages us that we give sadaqat and we give donation in the path of Allah as much as possible. So if sadaqah is given in these 10 days, it will be more virtuous than giving sadaqah outside of these 10 days. So we can combine all 4 ibadat in these 10 days, and that's why these 10 days are more important than any other set of days throughout the year. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us opportunities that we can avail and we can grow spiritually. We can be strong enough that when we will die and we are buried in our grave and the Munkar Nakir visit us, we tell them that we have to pray first. Da'uni usalli. To get to that level, you have to start working from now on. Because we don't know when we are going to die. We can die tomorrow, we can die the day after tomorrow, we can die maybe before the end of the year. We can die anytime. That is completely uncertain. I mean, nobody knows. It's the reality that even a person who doesn't believe in God, who does not acknowledge that God exists, acknowledges that death exists. So if a person who doesn't believe in God, who doesn't believe in the day of judgment, acknowledges death, so death is the most certain thing that is acknowledged by everyone. But the most uncertain thing about death is that nobody knows when he's going to die. So if we face 2 realities about death. The first reality is that it is certain, and the second reality is that the time is uncertain. Then we have to be ready to face Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to be blessed by that moment. When Munkar and Nakir start questioning us, we say, Da'uni musalli, allow me to pray. So the training for that moment begins from now. Respected brothers and sisters, the purpose of our creation is ibadah. As Allah Azza wa Jalla mentioned in this ayah, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونِ. And there are all kinds of ibadah that we can do. As I already mentioned, one opportunity that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving us is that we give sadaqah. And there is a very interesting opportunity that this masjid is offering. And obviously that is by the fadl and the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm sure you will see this flyer somewhere when you exit the masjid. It's 10 for 10 challenge. 10 days and every day $10 fi sabilillah. And what do you do in order to participate in this challenge, either you see barcode on these two screens, but if you don't, then when you exit, there's a barcode on the screen. You can use that barcode and set dates. Every day automatically $10 will be taken from your account and will be visited. No. So you won't forget. Imagine you're giving sadaqah $10 every day for 10 days, and these are the best 10 days of the year. We always want to give sadaqah, especially on the last 10 days of Ramadan, especially the night of Qadr. We think that if we do any amal on the night of Qadr, Laylatul Qadr, then we will get the reward of 84 years, as if we were working for 84 years. 1,000 nights. In fact, 1,000 months. So if we care about ibadat and giving sadaqat and zakat in the month of Ramadan because we want to multiply our reward. And this is another occasion of multiplying your reward. That's why I said in the beginning that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us opportunities upon opportunities. If he had not given any of those opportunities, then yes, a human could complain to Allah that why didn't you create? I didn't get any opportunity to be successful in this dunya and the akhirah. And then you will throw me in the hellfire. For what you created. But if Allah has given us these opportunities every year. Imagine if you're 30 years old, you're 40 years old. At least from the time you gain consciousness, you got these opportunities 20 plus times. So if we did not wake up, even after getting opportunities 20 plus times, this is the time we should wake up. Because we don't know how many more times Allah Azza wa Jalla will give this opportunity. So, ibadah is the purpose of our life. Our life did not begin, brothers and sisters, since we were born in this world. The life actually began when Allah Azza wa Jalla created our soul. And our soul stayed somewhere according to the ilm of Allah. Then we were born and our soul was put in our body. And we will die. The soul will be part of our body, but the soul will not die. It will be transferred to the next world, which is called Alam al-Barzakh. And then it will be transferred to the next world, which is called Alam al-Hashr. And then, inshallah, summa inshallah, the souls of all the people who are here, the souls of the entire Muslim Ummah will be taken to Alam al-Jannah. But what's going to happen in Jannah? The soul will die? No. The soul will continue living on. There will be no death in Jannah. Why? Because the Jannah is not going to perish. So the people of Jannah will never die. Now one wonders that will we not get bored? Imagine if you have one lifestyle, and that lifestyle, there is no change in it. Doesn't matter how luxury life you have, even if you're a billionaire, you will get bored one day. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already announced this in the Quran, that there will be intiqadat. Intiqadat means changes every day. You get bored with one thing, you get another thing. Imagine if you drive a luxury car. And of course, after a few days you get bored. But you know that the moment I get bored, I can afford another car that has more luxury than this, that is more expensive than this, that has more demand than this. Then you will not get bored. Every time you change your car and you feel as if you're driving something new for the first time. So you will get bored with your mansion in Jannah, you get another one. You get bored with your own in Jannah, you get another one. So intiqalat will be happening every day as one desires. So the soul has no death. If the journey of soul is so long that once it begins, it never ends, then this journey has to have a purpose. And this purpose cannot be identified by us because we have very limited knowledge. In fact, we start gaining knowledge once we come in this world. Our Ruh did not have knowledge when the Ruh didn't come into this world. So without knowledge, how can you identify with the purpose? You're traveling somewhere, going to New York, you're going to LA. You need to have a purpose. You need to know why you're going, for work, for vacation, for leisure, for the purpose of meeting your friends or your family. You need to have a purpose. If somebody asks you why you're going to LA, you say, I'm going because I'm going. That doesn't mean anything. That's irrational. You have to know why you're going. So if our soul is continuously traveling from one world to another, then there has to be a purpose, and that purpose cannot be identified by us human. We cannot say that the purpose of our soul is food because the soul does not eat anything. We cannot say the purpose of our soul is wealth because it's not the soul that becomes wealthy, it's the human body that enjoys wealth. So the purpose was decided by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that is ibadah. And that too, the beneficiary of this ibadah is not Allah. The beneficiary of this ibadah is us human beings. That is the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That without asking, Allah Azza wa Jal has showered countless mercy upon us and given us countless opportunities to be successful in this dunya and the akhirah. I make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continue to give us tawfiq to become spiritually strong and to be successful in this dunya and akhirah. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to gain maximum benefit from the coming 10 days of the Dhul-Hijjah. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala relieve our pain, and may Allah Azza wa Jal allow us to understand the Quran and Sunnah the way how Sahaba radiyallahu anhu and Tabi'een and Tabi'een understood. Jazakumullah khairan jazak wa akhiru da'wana and alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.